Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and unravel one of the most magnificent prehistoric mysteries of our world, Stonehenge. You know the one. Sitting out there on the sweeping landscape of Salisbury Plain in southern England, this iconic circular formation of massive standing stones has literally captured human imagination for centuries.
So, who really built Stonehenge, and how did a Neolithic society pull off this absolute masterpiece? To find out, we're going to treat this like an ancient cold case. We'll track the incredible journey of these immense stones, profile the real builders, and look at the hard archaeological evidence to figure out exactly how and why this monumental project was undertaken by a society working completely without modern tech.
But here's a seriously mind-boggling fact for you. 1,500. This monument wasn't just thrown up overnight. It took an astonishing 1,500 years to erect. The structure we see today is actually the result of several distinct phases of construction, alteration, and just continuous human effort, stretching right across the Neolithic period and way into the Bronze Age.
Section 1. A timeline in stone. Let's see how this incredible site builds over generations.
Let's break down this timeline. As early as 8500 BC, hunter-gatherers were raising simple pine posts, almost like totem poles, in the nearby landscape. But the first true version of Stonehenge began around 3000 BC. That's when early farming communities used primitive tools, literally picks fashioned out of deer antlers, to dig a massive circular ditch and bank. By 2500 BC, they were hauling and raising those colossal sarsen stones into the iconic circle we'd recognize today. And get this. Work continued with the rearranging of smaller stones right up until about 1600 BC.
Section 2. Debunking the builder myths. Because for a really long time, history got this completely wrong.
For centuries, 17th century myths and wild folktales credited everyone from giants to the wizard Merlin with magically transporting these stones. Then, archaeologists like John Aubrey claimed it was the work of Celtic druids, and man, that theory spread like wildfire. But here is the 20th century scientific truth. Radiocarbon dating acted as the ultimate smoking gun, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Stonehenge was built by Neolithic agrarians over 1,000 years before the Celts and their druid priests even existed in the area.
So bones, tools, and artifacts confirm that indigenous Neolithic farmers were the true masterminds here. By analyzing the archaeological remnants left on site, we now know that several distinct tribes of native Britons actually collaborated on different phases of construction. These were early agrarian communities, just everyday farmers and herders who eventually passed the torch to groups with more advanced tools and a highly communal way of living.
Section 3. Moving the massive bluestones. Let's dive right into the logistics, because how they transported these rocks is a prehistoric marvel. 180 miles. That is the astonishing distance the smaller rocks, the ones known as the bluestones, were transported. Recent excavations have actually pinpointed the exact quarries for these stones in the Preseli Hills in Wales, which is way, way to the west of Salisbury Plain.
And 4 tons. Because remember, we're not talking about pebbles here. These bluestones weigh up to 4 tons each. Just imagine trying to move a modern hippopotamus across 180 miles of rugged terrain, rivers, and valleys using absolutely nothing but wood, rope, and sheer human muscle. It's wild.
Now, for a while, there was a major geological theory that ancient glaciers naturally pushed the rocks to Salisbury Plain during the Ice Age, but recent excavations firmly proved the archaeological fact. This was human transportation via overland routes using primitive engineering. Archaeologists found undeniable physical evidence, like man-made loading bays and radiocarbon-dated charcoal at the Welsh quarries, proving ancient humans intentionally quarried and transported these specific megaliths around 3000 BC.
So how did they do it? Well, archaeologists discovered exactly how this 3000 BC quarrying process worked in 3 steps. Step 1, the Welsh rock naturally formed in vertical pillars, so Neolithic workers simply inserted stone or wooden wedges into the ready-made vertical rock joints to ease the pillars off the rock face. Step 2, they lowered the pillar onto an earthen loading platform. And step 3, they loaded them onto wooden sledges and began the brutal overland drag towards Stonehenge.
Section 4. Solstices, stars, and spirituality. Now we hit the ultimate question. Why?
What drove these ancient people to dedicate over a millennium of labor to this specific spot? Well, it's a masterpiece of prehistoric astronomy designed in relation to the solstices. Far from just being a bunch of rocks in a field, the entire layout is an intricate solar calendar. The massive sarsen stones at the center were carefully, painstakingly placed to align flawlessly with the extreme limits of the sun's movement. The precision here is just staggering. On Midsummer's Day, the sun rises just to the left of the outlying heel stone, and on Midwinter's Day, the sun sets perfectly between the uprights of the tallest trilithon. Modern laser surveys even show that the stones framing this solstice axis were the most carefully shaped and smoothed by the builders. They literally framed the sun using towering stone. But the archaeological data tells us midwinter was likely the true focus. At a nearby Neolithic settlement called Durrington Walls, excavators found evidence of massive midwinter feasts. We're talking huge amounts of pig and cattle bones found in rubbish dumps. And analysis shows these animals were brought from incredibly long distances. It was a time of immense communal gathering, where people traveled from all over for these ceremonial feasts. Because back then, midwinter meant survival. In a harsh reality of dwindling food and freezing cold, tracking the sun's return wasn't just some nice ceremony. It was a literal matter of life and death. The days were short, the sun was low, it probably felt like the sun was dying. Honoring the dying sun to ensure the return of warmth and life was absolutely crucial for these early farmers. And the site's utility might have gone even further. Researchers have found lunar alignments corresponding with the cremated dead, showing early on the site was used as a cemetery. Other experts speculate it was a potential place of healing due to the supposed properties of the bluestone, or even that the circular layout served as an acoustic or mnemonic center, acting as a giant memory aid for oral cultures to remember complex information about their world. As one quote perfectly puts it, spirituality was at the heart of Stonehenge from the start, an extraordinary source for the study of prehistory. Stonehenge stands as a powerful testament to human ingenuity. It reflects our deep ancestral need to understand the changing seasons, survive those brutal winters, and connect with the vast cosmos above us. So, 5,000 years from now, how will our own modern monuments be interpreted by the detectives of the future? As we wrap up this explainer, seeing the sheer effort early humans put into communicating with the heavens leaves us with a fascinating thought. If a ring of stones can tell us this much about human resilience 5,000 years later, what mysteries are we leaving behind right now? Thanks for learning with me today.